here we are. We're back with episode 20 of The Pit. Yes, 20. I'm not sure how we're at 20 already. Today we are joined by two fantastic gentlemen, two of the OMiT owners, Rafi and Austin. I mean, gentlemen, you need no more introduction. We know just how big you both are within this space. How are we today?
Doing great, man. I appreciate you having us.
Pleasure's all mine, honestly. It is all mine. So, I mean, shall we just jump straight into segment one, gentlemen? I mean, I think a lot of people have been wondering and asking the question. I mean, the entrance into EU challenges, it took a lot of people by surprise. It almost came out of nowhere. So my first question is, I mean, were the plans originally to step into EU challenges before the acquisition of ESG and Deviant, or did those acquisitions get you invested into it?
Frankly, I think it was a combination of both, right? We sent OMiT EU, which was the Kelsaruni, Disarray, BB Connor, and Runner team last minute. I think we've always had an interest in OMiT EU specifically. I I firmly believe that region is for no fucking reason completely disregarded or at least ignored when most of the talent in the CDL is like dominated by EU individuals. If you actually look at some of the top names in the CDL, they are all from the European region. So we haven't disregarded that. OMiT is a global brand. We have a lot of European Warzone creators as well. So it's always been in the plans. I think after meeting Austin and Tyler and how they ran things in Boston specifically, it was, as corny as it's going to sound, a match made in heaven working with those guys. Utmost respect after meeting them. And, you know, having the roster that they had was a cherry on top. We like to dominate. We like to win. That's what we're here for. And it was just kind of a no-brainer to bring them on to the organization and take care of the North American side like we did with Champs last year, and hopefully do the same in the EU region this year.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. I mean, that's been one of the questions on my mind. So it's a combination of everything, right? I say this all the time. In our current ecosystem, everything has to add up. You just have to take the right opportunity. So, I mean, was there anything specific that really caught your eye with EU challenges?
I'm going to be completely honest. I think seeing the hype that a couple of rosters, well, admittedly, the overhype that some rosters got with names that were signed by organizations in North America. I like to win. That is what I'm here to do. And it's not a whatever it takes type of attitude. It's more of, you know, against all odds type of attitude. And EU is just as important as NA. I think being the pipeline as an organization promoting talent and players to the CDL is what caught my attention. And I think the EU region is vital for that. But on top of that, just being EU elite champions, you know, we already did what it is that we've done in North America. Why not do it across the pond? And, you know, stories like Steve, stories like Chilt, they need to be told. So how can we amplify those with megaphones and put them on as much as possible to be that segue into the CDL, if at all possible? We'd love to be part of those journeys.
Oh, I completely agree. And, you know, it's so good to hear that a brand like yourself, you know, so eager to get invested into the EU scene. So, I mean, one specifically for you, Austin, is obviously the start of the year. It started with DevNot. I mean, how did you feel with the OMiT takeover, the acquisition, and obviously you losing what you had and joining this? I mean, what was the vibe? Obviously, we've heard from Barrett about it. We haven't heard from yourself. What was your vibe? What was the feeling with it all?
It was kind of, bittersweet. Obviously, we got nothing for respect for the Notorious Boys. We went head to head with them a majority of last year, and kind of a similar situation with Rafi. We just kind of grew close and just realized, why don't we do this together? We realized the state of challengers, and we realized the expense tied to bringing and having a European team. And just with the news of challengers in the preseason, how long everything took, what was going on. A lot of org owners were just questioning, like, why the hell am I still doing this, right? So we were kind of in that same boat, and Jared and I just said, um, I had Steve last year, you had Chilt last year, let's do this together. And that's kind of how it came. And, obviously the move to OMiT was something that, I found is important for a long-term move. Notorious and Deviants were just merged as a Call of Duty team. It wasn't, a complete organization. And I was just looking at ways like how do we get involved with bigger brands? How do we grow ourselves? And how do we pretty much take over? Because that's everyone's goal, you know what I'm saying? So obviously meeting Rafi in Boston, like you said, it was kind of match in heaven. Um, we're good friends now. We met like a week and it felt like we'd known each other for years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So um, no harm, no foul. Obviously, Jared and I are still really good friends. They're Notorious is obviously back working with OMiT, so that says it all. But everyone has the same goal, take over, like I said. So
I mean, love it. And now you say all three brands are working together. The relationship looks better than ever. I mean, you're causing just absolute chaos across all the regions. Like you're everywhere. So
mm,
I'm a huge fan of it. It's good to see brands get on, work together, and just do great things for the scene. But I mean, obviously, right, you've had great recent success in other titles and other esports, such as winning World Series of Warzone, Champs winners in Vegas, qualification for the Apex Championship, being probably the main brand from my point of view in the Warzone community, and so much more of all the great content creators you have. I mean, have you found all of that success elsewhere has made it easier to step into challenges with obviously the high expense of, the current challenger ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think going to WSOW in London and seeing that land and the energy that um, people in the UK brought for a Warzone event, mind you, a Warzone event. When's the last time we saw an actual competitive LAN over the pond? Right. So seeing that energy for the other side of the title, right? Because I split them into two as a business. I think the eagerness and the hunger that we have to succeed in the EU is driven from that specifically, right? I think ultimately the history and the track record that we have of success across the board on the title, and now cracking into Apex and finding immediate success almost, results in brands coming to us and saying, "Hey, let's sit next to your brand. Let's see what your group of content creators can do." They see us as obviously an esports organization, but we're aspiring to also be a lifestyle brand on top of that, right? Our motto is quite literally very similar to the old Deviants one, which is defy status quo. That's what we're here to do. And once we have those conversations with brands, then we see that interest turn into dollars, which then leads us to be able to have a sustainable business model, which I think everybody in this room knows esports is having a really hard and tough time doing. So we need to be realistic. We initially sent 3 challengers teams to Miami, which wasn't the best idea. I got scolded by Austin and Tyler for weeks on that. But things pan out the way that they should. I firmly believe that we're just opening doors and still figuring it out as an up and coming organization.
No, yeah, and I've like sometimes you have to spend a bit of money in this space to find out people and find out what the right move is. I mean, losing is learning, right? Sometimes, and that's how you become a better brand and a better person. But absolutely incredible. And talking about the brand and specifically the EU roster, the team that you've acquired, you've put together. I mean, let's go through them one by one. Wee Man, what is the attraction with that man specifically from your point of view?
is that a question for me or Rafi? I think both of us can answer. Because Chilt's just a fucking character, right? Like you that's the type of person you want representing your org, and Jared will say that firsthand. He was diehard Notorious last year and diehard DevNod and now diehard OMiT. Like this guy gives it all his all at all times, and And I don't know if you know the famous quote from him last year when he had the 1v3 in Texas, but he goes, "I have the biggest dick in the venue." So it's like that just kind of gives you an idea of who Chill is and what he's about. Like that dude just grinds it out, and he always finds a way to win. And he's seen a lot of success throughout his career, and even recently. So it's just shocking, I think, to everyone else on this call that this guy hasn't had a shot yet.
I mean,
That was against us, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that. I was like, ah.
Yeah, thanks for your manners, buddy.
oh well. I mean, you saw how good he was and what he can offer. See, I mean, you've just gone and got him, I guess. I mean, it's worked out okay.
He's on our side now, man.
Yeah,
It's
so
all good.
incredible man to have. And then obviously, I mean, the next man that has to be on the list is obviously Steve Vortex, who now I've heard just wants to go by the name of Vortex because the Steve part seems to be some hindrance of him getting back in the league. I mean, what do you think of this new Vortex? You know, everything he has to offer. He's been doing it for years. What do we think of him?
Oh man, so much to say about Steve. Obviously, I had him on the squad last year, and in that, you know, in that process, we just became incredibly close. And I literally sat at him and I said, I want to build a team around this guy. I want to build a brand around this guy. And it's for all the right reasons. You know, just going back to what I was saying about Chill, this guy stays up till 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. watching VOD after tournaments, after he's winning a tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing everything he possibly can to get in the league. And the fact that he hasn't had a shot as well is just shocking to us, too. You know, the craziest thing about Steve is, you know, he's known for kind of doing the dirty work, and we'll talk about it later with Charlie, but obviously they're pretty similar roles. And Steve recently transitioned to Claw. And I don't know if the stats from the final the other day kind of told you what that's doing to his gameplay, but the dude's out there fucking slaying like he's 18 years old. It's like, what more do these guys need to do to get their opportunity? And it's just crazy to me that people just look at age or look at region, the obstacles of visa. Like, this guy is only 26 years old. You got Clayster in the league that's what, 31, pushing 32. People need leadership and experience on their rosters, and people need to stop looking at just KDs as a way to identifying success of a player. It's who's winning the most, right? Who's doing the most for the team, who's playing not selfish, who's doing everything they can to get their team to where they need to be. And that's Steve Vortex. You know, he's our captain this year, and that's for a good reason. And Chilt's right there next to him. He could be a captain as well, but both of them together are just a dynamic duo of leaders.
Is he really? Because I've not had the the personal pleasure yet of a one-on-one with him. Is he really just that much of a winner? Like, you just look at the guy, everything he says, he's that locked in. Like, is he just a champion?
Yeah. I mean, easy answer is yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I recruited. I talked to him when we were also talking to the Team War team, and I left that conversation. First thing I said to my girlfriend was, "That's a gentleman and a scholar." That's just the type of impression that Steve leaves. I talked to a lot of challengers kids, and they're quite literally kids, right? 18, 19 years old. Don't have like that marketability or that media training. Steve has it all. I'm not going to hype him up as much as Austin will, because I've only been working with him for a short amount of time. He also declined our offer and stayed with Detroit Deviants. So thanks, Steve, for the loyalty, I guess. But he is a very upstanding person, and he communicates, he follows up on whatever it is that he tells you on a phone call. He's responsible. He's an adult, right? And he shoots like he is one of those cracked 18-year-olds. So I can attest to the kind of person that he is just from brief conversations with him, and I'm looking forward to developing a further relationship with him and the team as we move forward.
Well, I mean, that is just an absolutely glowing review, and that tells everyone all they need to know if there was any other question marks around the man. And there's an interesting one next for me. Mythics. I mean, this man is also making quite the name for himself. I mean, he's won back-to-back elites. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, and the slaying, especially at the start of the year, I mean, he was really putting up some numbers. And we know that's not all you need to bring to a squad. Yes, these fancy stat boards look fantastic on Twitter, but there's a lot more you bring to a team. And he really looks like that he is just molded into a really, really top elite challenger player. I mean, what is the vibe within the camp now around him?
With Mythics, oh, he's a goofball. And that's Steve's project, I think. And Steve's been known for bringing up players into the league, obviously throughout his career. You know, some big names like Afro and Nasty and whatnot. Obviously, he doesn't take full credit for it, but he did what he could to help them out to be the best player they could possibly be. But Ben, you said it all. Like he's won 3 elites in a row. He, I don't know if he's been on stream at LAN, but once he does, I guarantee everyone's going to be talking about him because I have never seen a kid play lights out like someone did in Boston. You know, Ben was going insane. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Ben started the year as a sub. Ben's an AR. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, he can flex, he can do both, but Ben is naturally an AR. And obviously, after Harry left that role, he moved back into it, and you've seen the success our teams had because of it. So, the kid's only 20 years old. He's gonna go pro. I can promise you that.
I completely agree. Yeah, after this year, I completely agree. And I mean, his argument is really, really, really getting strong as he deserves a spot. But then, I mean, there is one man that, to my knowledge, this is why he left. I mean, Rael came in for Hixie. Oh, sorry, Hixie came in for Rael. Let me get that one right. Was that forced by Rael's move to the Heretics and his visa issues finally being somewhat worked out? Or did the team actually want a change?
No, the team definitely didn't want to change. Jose was a glove fit. The culture with the team was great. We literally had no choice. And I won't go into too much detail on what's going on with the Heretics and whatnot, but obviously through the visa approval process, there's some concerns with travel until that's approved. And that's all it is. So we would have loved to keep Jose. It just didn't work out and it sucks, but you know, we got to move on. And I think we found the best alternative to make up for that.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I know Hixie's been there now for a couple of weeks. I mean, what have you found that he's brought to the team straight away? Like, what was that initial Hixie impact like?
You know, it's tough because we're only a week into this,
Yeah.
right? So, obviously we saw success over the weekend, but there's still a lot of work to do, and making a change right before a major LAN is never ideal. So you're gonna have those growing pains, regardless. But obviously Charlie is coming in second at CDL champs last year. I mean, that kind of says it all, right? Like the guy's a winner, he knows how to win, and our team's built around unselfish players, and that's why he's a glove fit and why we wanted to pick him up. And of course, we also considered like what happens now that Jose's gone? Is War going to be the dominant team? Do we need to pick up potentially their best player? Obviously, they have a great roster regardless, but you know, we needed to take that into account too, and we wanted to make them weaker, and that's the answer. So
honestly, and I
Yeah,
absolutely love it. It's a smart move and what a player to get in. I mean,
no.
final question, you know, around the players, we could honestly talk about them all day. All four of them are absolutely outstanding. But how many of these players do you see being picked up in the league by the end of this year?
Oh man, you know I'm gonna say all of them. Like that's the only answer I'm gonna say because I think they all deserve it in different ways, and it's just tough that a couple of them haven't really got their spot or one's proven himself and got kicked out of the league trying to get his way back. I think all these guys have potential to be winners in the league. They just need their shot, and I think the whole visa obstacle thing just I kind of call BS on it sometimes. Like it just goes back to what I was saying earlier. People look at KD way too much. People need to look at total gameplay, what people bring outside of the game as well, and the leadership those three specifically bring. Hixie, Chilt, Stee, Ben on his way there. I mean, all of them could easily be picked up, and I think they'd see success.
Yeah,
It is bullshit, by the way. The visa is 100% bullshit. He can be humble and kind about it, and he can be like nice about it, but it is bullshit. And I call that bullshit because all of Team War straight up publicly tweeted, "We will pay for our own visas to come over."
Yeah.
And we look at the Team War team. Yeah, we fucking hate them. but we got to respect what it is that they bring to the table as far as individual talent. Every single one of those guys are fraggers, and they've all publicly stated that they would fund themselves and do whatever it takes to go back to the league. We see some of the teams in the league right now. You're going to tell me that you're going to ignore players like Beans or Bance? Come on. Let's be honest. There's way better players and challengers available right now than there are making up the friendship league that is the CDL today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree,
And
and it's refreshing to hear. Go on. You're on a tangent. Go on, Austin.
no, I was just gonna say, like, the amount of resources NA Challengers has in comparison to EU just kind of says it all. And not to mention, these guys have to travel 15 to 20 hours in some instances just to come overseas to play in a major LAN. So if that's not a disadvantage, I don't know what is. But these guys are literally giving their lives up to do everything they can to make the league. And someone just needs to look at that and give them a chance. That's really all it comes down to.
I couldn't agree more, gentlemen. And I say again, reiterate, it's just refreshing to hear, my own thoughts or similar thoughts, come out of your mouths, who obviously are probably well more clued up with all the background work that goes on. So I mean, it's barbaric, and hopefully we see all these lads with a chance soon. But on to segment 2. Let's go on to the season so far. I mean, the core roster you picked up had won Cup 1 and 2 with the aid of Austin and Notorious. You then acquire them. You win Elite 1. You've had second in Cup 4 against War and won Cup 5 over War. Is there any one of those wins, those placements that stands out to you, and you're like, God, I'm thrilled with this. Like, I'm so glad we won that one.
I'll let Austin answer first.
Well, for me, I'm just going to say the Elite. Obviously, last year we saw next to no success, so I'm happy to get a win as it is. Obviously, Rafi's path's a little bit different than mine, but the Elite was just a major win and a major team win, and it just really brought everyone together and said we can fucking do this on land too, right? And obviously, all the EU guys are coming up and they say, how the hell do we beat these NA teams? How do we outplace FaZe Black? And that's really all it comes down to. I think next on the list is placing well on land.
No, I agree. Is there any standout performances for you, Rafi? Obviously, you get the roster and they win the first Elite under you. I mean, any big smiles?
Yeah, it's weird because Apex casters, while we were going through the championship, have coined the OMiT effect, which is, I guess I can't really deny it. Like, Austin came in right away and was like, "Hey, Rafi, we can't win them all," and I said, "Fuck that, we're gonna win them all." Like, that's the mentality that I gotta have, and that's the culture that we're trying to breed, which is we're gonna win, and I don't care if it's a Pup Cup, I don't care if it's an Elite, I don't care if it's champs. We're gonna do anything and everything possible to get these guys in the best position, because at the end of the day, I think performances on LAN is where it is that some analysts and coaches maybe start looking over their shoulder and say, "Hey, let's look at these guys," right? Besides names and besides friendships, at the end of the day, if you're winning and you're succeeding and you're hitting main stage, that's what matters, right? So to me, besides the Elite, because at the end of the day, it's also, hey, we won, what was it, 75K toward the Elite?
Yeah,
I think it was
20,
40K for first.
Yeah, something like that. You get.
It was a 75K competition. We won 40.
Yeah, something.
I think that's.
I don't know if first
a little bit more than it's a little bit more than a Challengers Cup, which some organizations try to celebrate like it's the Super Bowl at 2000. But I think we liked winning and getting our back in blood payback yesterday. I liked how close it was for the theatrics and the dramatics, but really we beat ourselves a lot on those maps. So that one was the one that I enjoyed the most, especially after the disrespect I saw on Twitter.
It was 24K now that I think about it. You were right, Copy.
Yeah, I think 24K for the winners. I mean, but still, right, that's not to be sniffed at, that's for sure. Not in this ego. I mean, that goes a long way into helping, yourselves and the lads and everyone, get to the events with how expensive they are. And I mean, talking about the events, obviously, you were at Boston with a different roster, Rafi, a couple of different rosters, I believe. You had the Brooklyn and the EU one, and then obviously you had DevNot. I mean, what was the vibe from? Let's just go with all of the rosters from there. And like yourself, Rafi, while you were at Boston, did you ever look at the DevNot roster there? Did they catch your eye?
Yeah, I think that's where our camaraderie really started. We were keeping tabs on each other's teams, right? So it was vibes, right? It was like that personal connection. Jared's kind of like the clown. Austin was a little bit more business, and I'm kind of in the middle between the two of them. And we were texting each other. We have like this text group that was like owners somehow question mark, and we have like 8 because it's hard to find people to respect in the challenger scene from an owner's perspective. Like a lot of them like the clout, a lot of them like self-serving or even scamming some of the players. It's you got to kind of sniff out the owners that are in it for the players, and I did that with the Deviants and the Notorious guys. So I was definitely heartbroken to see them lose and finish top 12 because they deserved more than that. And, I watched Steve, who was visibly upset after that loss. I sat next to Weeman and tried to talk to him, but as you can imagine, after that loss, they were all kind of dejected, right? On our side, the EU team was a pickup team. It was kind of like, hey, we need a hotel. I wanted to try out a different color on a jersey. And I was like, yeah, go have fun. Let's see what you guys can do. It was kind of like a last rodeo for that team who had been together for some time. And they kind of took it to the FaZe Black team on LAN. I'm not going to lie. They end up champions, but they took a couple maps from them. They look good. But that was, a last minute decision. Again, just trying to put people in a position to be able to get to the lands from Europe, right? On the flip side, the OMiT Brooklyn team was disappointing. On paper, that team was a project that Charles has been my coach for the past 2 years. He's been my coach since the start of OMiT Challengers. And he's like, we got this. I know that we can put this together. On paper, they were fantastic with Flames, Bink, Noisy, and Dak. And we should have ended up on main stage. I believe we ended up top 6. Playing the Lore Gaming team that ended up on main stage. We were up 5-1 and we lost 6-5. So that was a heartbreak. I almost broke my hand after that game, punching cement. And that was super, super, super defeating. We kept trying with those guys. They ended up splitting up. Obviously, best of luck to the 3 that are no longer on the organization. Mad love to them. Good relationships built. Flames is still on OMiT Notorious. We picked him up alongside Temp and Co. With Too Real and Yulia's duos, and we hope that they're gonna, be one of the ones on main stage as well, right? We'd love an OMiT EU versus OMiT Notorious final. That'd be amazing. But the feelings across the board. I remember drinking with Austin and Jared afterwards. We were all just, damn, we all could have done more. And it's part of what it is in the pit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both teams the EU lost to FaZe Black and Lore. Obviously, both teams have made main. So FaZe Black could have been a little bit closer, kind of choked vetoes, but Lore went map 5 and we lost 6-4. So that's always heartbreaking, right? So just needed to be different this time around. And I think we can do it.
No, I completely agree. So I know we saw about the Brooklyn roster on Twitter. You said about the accommodation being free. So is there now just 2 rosters going to Miami under OMiT?
Yeah. We ended up deciding not to pick up the OMiT Brooklyn team. That they all dispersed, right? And it was a project that was on the brink of getting called off regardless. So we had originally said, all right, let's just focus all of our resources on OMiT EU. But the ex-Convoy Gaming team got dropped with very little time to react, and spoke to Donnie, spoke to Brendan, Too Real, and we put something together. Obviously, Dab Patty retired, I think 48 hours after we picked them up. We had already booked his flight and everything. Best of luck to him, by the way. He's an absolute goat. Like, shout out to Dab Patty. But that's when Flames was like, he just called me. He's like, get me in. get me in. That's the roster I want to be on. So he left Gunless and Co. and joined us. So those are the two rosters that we're sending for Miami. And it's a hometown for Flames.
Oh,
Jay is from Miami, so his entire family's going to be there, hopefully rocking OMiT jerseys, and we get to see him compete in front of his family. He's really close to getting to the league, so we're kind of sticking with him and seeing where that goes.
oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope both rosters do well. Obviously, slight favouritism to the EU lads. No hate, but hopefully it's them two on the main stage. We ain't got no Noctum there, so hopefully it's them two on the main stage on the Sunday. But we touched on it before, right? The team war and OMiT, shenanigans going on. What are your thoughts on the EU rivalry currently brewing between the two?
Come on, man. Just to put it plain and simple, I got a decent relationship with Kev over at War, and competitiveness is everywhere, and it doesn't matter if it's sports, esports, business, whatever it might be. We're coming at your heads. We're gonna try to win everywhere we can, and it doesn't matter how we get there. We're gonna get there. So. That's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, everyone wants to be on top. That's our goal, and I think end of the day, it's fun and games for the most part, but I think we're gonna end up pushing each other more, not only as business owners, but the players to reach their true potential, if that makes sense. And that's what I love about it. So that's the most I'll say, unless Rafi wants to take on. But
Listen, I think I'm glad they're back. I think Timor found a lot of success back in the day. I was sad to see them go. I know Kev took a break for a year, and jokes aside, respect to him for the success that he found. It's really hard to find people that actually give a shit about challengers for as long as he has, because you deplete bank accounts left and right. There's no money to be made in challengers. So I respect him for sticking it out. Um, I'm sorry that we are now the top dog when you did come back, because you're not getting that spot back. And I say that as disrespectfully as possible. Fuck Timor. Good players, but go fuck yourselves. That's all I have to say. Imperative sentence.
Well, we will leave that one there, and we viewers, listeners, we need to know no more. This rivalry is brewing, and I mean, it must be great for some Twitter analytics as well, and I mean, just storylines in general is fantastic for the scene. So no, I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to see how this one goes. But one more point on the season so far. I mean, one of the issues for me, I mean, obviously getting games and teams on stream or being casted has been a huge issue this year. I mean, what are your thoughts on this from a brand's point of view? I mean, do you want more games on stream for the brand's benefit, or are you quite happy to let the players, not share their secrets on the map?
We differ in this topic. So, Austin, please go ahead.
no, we don't differ. I just see both sides of the story. I understand. It'd be one thing if like everyone streamed, right? But the fact that some people like gatekeep it, I think that's where the issue comes in. I think everyone should be showcasing their abilities at every chance they get. So saying no to community streams or saying no to streaming, whatever it might be, I don't agree with. But you also got to understand there are effects to frames, there are effects to input delay. So everyone has different setups. It's not like the CDL. It just kind of is what it is, and it sucks for everyone, right? But go ahead, Rafi. I know you want to talk.
Why does he roll his eyes and look off to the side? This guy's like, you look like, he acts like my wife. All right, so this is the reality of it, right? Hear me loud and clear when I say this. You are a challengers player trying to get to the league, yeah? Let's put aside the benefit of the branding that comes back to the organization. If you are a challengers player, and please, actually, you said that you're speaking to Aroma soon, yeah? Me and him had a long conversation about this, I think 3 months ago. You are a brand. What you are is your own brand, right? A CDL organization is going to interview you. They're going to look at you as a whole package. How's your stream doing? How well can you shoot your gun? Are you media trained? Do you know how to act? Do you know how to do interviews? Have you ever been part of a photo shoot? What kind of videos do you have about you? Have you ever been racist on Twitter? Have you ever had a meltdown on Twitter and called people betas? All of those things are things that CDL organization is going to look at you and ask, right? The easiest part about a challengers player is being so damn fucking good at the game that people will watch you without a camera. You're not like, you could quite literally be one of the best players in challengers. You don't even have to turn on your camera. People are there to watch your gameplay. You converse with them into a microphone and you turn that stream on to compete. You're going to then get views. Views then result into organizations wanting to invest in you. Look at the censor effect. He streams everything. Sure, not one of the best players in challengers. Shout out to him for his retirement. He amazing accolades. But people are there because he's entertaining. He's a brand on his own. Everybody knows censor, right? He'll be the first one to tell you challengers players need to stream. Why not turn it on and compete? Austin and I had a conversation about this not even 24 hours ago. Of course, different PCs, different that, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're not going to stream, maybe make content. Maybe tap into YouTube. Maybe tap into TikTok. Tips and tricks. It's an entire ecosystem beyond just being incredibly good at the game. And the quicker that the challengers players realize that as a whole, the more eyeballs are going to be led to everything, and more watch parties, more streams, more everything. It's right there. You're doing what everybody else can't do, which is be incredible at the game. The easier part is creating content. The easier part is turning on your stream and being a personality. I don't think that it's really that difficult, but take your 20-second input delay, I guess.
Yeah, and I will give War credit for that part. You know, at least in the beginning of the season, they were trying to make all their players stream as much as possible. I think it was kind of Mark's initiative, just so they can get back in the league as soon as possible as well. And I don't know why they end up turning it off. My assumption is because no one else is doing it, and everyone's getting info, and we're not getting info on other guys. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that just goes back to my point, like, all of challengers needs to be on the same page that we all need to start streaming. And until that happens, I don't see this fixing, if that makes sense.
Agreed.
Yeah, completely agreed. And again, refreshing to hear similar thoughts out of someone else's mouth with much more knowledge within the scene and the background work than myself. So fantastic. That segment is definitely going singly on Twitter and say it louder for the people at the back. And please, players, bloody listen for once in your lives for the life of us, please. But segment 3, right? Let's have a celebration. The future. Let's find out some leaks, some intel. But before we do, obviously Miami's coming up, right? That is on the forefront. That is only 6 days away, 5 days away now. What are the expectations for both of them teams for both of you?
Trophies.
At least one of them. Trophy. That's the only expectation, you know, at least on the EU side. Obviously, we had a great coaching staff with Roper and Ray. We brought on Charles for a reason, additional resources, additional asset to get them there and keep them focused on LAN. And obviously, Ray and Roper are perfectly capable of that, but Charles is just, you know, he's next level throughout the scene right now, and obviously had a championship with Rafi last year, so it just made sense after the Brooklyn team broke up. But very simple answer is trophy. That's it. That's what we want. That's what we're coming to get. And if you want to get in our way, good fucking luck. You know?
Just you're just winners at heart, aren't you? Just absolute ruthless aggression, and I love it. I always ask the other side of it, right? Don't, answer as you want. But for either team, is there a placement of where they get and you go, that's unacceptable? Is the cut-off like a top 16, a top 12, a top 8? Do you have one?
Top 2.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's Rafi's answer.
Jesus. Okay, well, there we are. We're going to be seeing one of your rosters win Miami. After that, I don't know if anyone's going to argue, but let's move on. What does OMiT have coming up that we can look forward to? Is there any leaks? Anything you want to share?
I'll leave that to you, Rafi.
To be honest, the immediate success that we found in Apex is one that I think we need to keep diving into. The community and where that is right now has been with open arms. You know, a lot of the casters also cast Call of Duty, so they're familiar with the brand name. Um, you know, we need to be cognizant to not continue to be an organization that has to lay off 100 employees quarterly, right? So finances, as non-sexy of an answer as that is hey, the leak is we're gonna be a winning organization in what it is that we're capable of competing in, and we're gonna do it with sound business tactics and strategies that everybody else in esports cannot. So what we're doing, here's the leak, is we're building the blueprint on how to build a profitable esports organization. And we're going to do it while being a very competitive one at that, one where we care about the lifestyle aspect of the side of the business. That means merch, that means content, that means daily posting across socials. I can't sit here and be a hypocrite and ask my players to be posting content every day or streaming every day if we're not doing the same, right? So on the flip side of not just being competitive, we're building an empire from an employee standpoint as well. We want the best of the best graphic designers. We want the best of the best, you know, social assistants. Like we're taking this shit to the moon. And if you're not with us, you're against us. And I wish you the best of luck with whatever it is that your endeavors are. But we're not here to fuck around. We're here to make money. We're here to win championships. And that's the mentality that I've had since I came in. Austin, Tyler, and Doug from ESG have um, renewed my hunger with what is OMiT after the past 2 years. And it's all business. No leaks as far as roster pickups or content creator pickups or anything of the sort, but we're here to fucking win and make money. That's the leak.
I love it, and it's nice to hear it. By the way, money. I feel like it's something that, you know, it can't be said. Like an organ, they never say we want to make money, or even in the players or content. It's like just say it, right? There's nothing wrong with it. We need to make that type of thing like more normal in this space. Like people should be making money in this space. I mean, why not? Everyone puts so many hours into it. There's money to be made there. Just, I mean, I don't understand it why so many people don't want to say the word. Like it's like, I don't know. It's GA'd for them. I don't understand it. So it's nice to hear it. Like there is nothing wrong with a brand making money. Tournament host making money. It's how it should be. So I mean, I absolutely love it. I mean, Austin, have you got anything on the league front you want to touch on? Or has Rafi covered it all?
No, Rafi covered it for the most part. Not obviously we're still, you know, fresh in the transition of the acquisition, right?
Yeah.
So there's still growing pains there, and we're working through them, and we have a lot of plans for the future. It's just going to take some time, and I think you'll see it coming in these next months and years as we grow.
No, love it. Do you have anything specifically for the EU scene?
Well, you had Ray on the podcast. Who's the bigger waffler, as you guys say? Is it Rafi or is it Ray?
Ooh. Oh,
Don't be a
that's
donut. Don't be a donut. You know it's right.
Yeah, no, right. On like him and like even the Face It Discord, right? Like he's incredible. He just goes on a tangent, and yeah, to be fair, he's a great bloke, and I don't think he's ever out of line with what he says. To be fair, like he's just direct.
No.
He just says it how it is, and to be honest, I'd rather someone like that because you know where you stand with the bloke. So I mean, props to him, and you've got a good one in him. Let's be honest, he's a good lad.
Yeah, no, I love Ray. He's awesome. I just remember after he was done with the episode, he sent it to me. He's like warning a lot of waffling. I started drinking, you know, something along those lines. So wanted to give it to him a little bit.
So he did. He messaged me before, like an hour before, and he goes, "I don't know how this is gonna go. I've been on a work still, and I've drunk a lot." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I've just sat here for 2 hours, an hour, made a structure, got the graphics ready." And it's like, oh my god! But he turned up, and it was actually pretty good. So I mean, credit to the man. You wouldn't even known he was under the influence. So a great chap, and I mean, he's doing great things as well, isn't he? I mean, I feel like I know the London thing, right? From what I've told, like it wasn't any financial gain. It was all all experience and stuff like that. So I mean, like he's gone and done that for free, great experience, and then he's obviously still doing great things in challenges. So I think even him, he might get a, if a big break, if it isn't with you, if you don't take him all the way, then I really think there's going to be some eyes on him. I don't know how you think.
No, I feel the same way, and
Mm.
I felt that with Roper, and I feel that with Charles. Like, there's so many people throughout not only this organization, but obviously an entire scene that just haven't had their chance and deserve it. And I'll keep speaking highly of these guys. They all deserve it as well. So, by all means. And I did want to share like a cool stat. Like, Roper brought it to my attention the other day when we added Charles to the coaching staff. Apparently, both of them have been involved in every Challengers Grand Final. So Roper was involved in Modern Warfare and Cold War. Charles was involved in Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2.
Wow.
I thought that was, I was like, no shit. We truly do have a powerhouse of a coaching staff, and that says it all. So
I think is the roster and the organization top to bottom at the minute. It just seems absolutely star-studded. So your recruiting process is pretty good, it must be said. And my last one for you is the CDR. If it stays in the same format it is, and a spot does become available, is it ever something that you've looked at or are going to look at acquiring a spot in the big league, or are you looking to stay within in challenges?
oh
If
man.
it's not 25 million and if it's $25, absolutely. If it makes business sense, absolutely. If there's a way that we can actually make money and not be in debt, absolutely. Me personally, I'm not going to take $25 million from a VC fund, fuck you money type of person and say, hey, I'm going to make you money as it stands today. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I hope, pray to God that somehow, some way we get back to the CWL someday of what that looks like so that the little guy can eat too. But you're not going to get any sort of ass kissing from me on the CDL side. I
Well,
think Austin can save this answer now with what it is that he thinks makes business sense. Please, President, go ahead.
no. I mean, I'm not gonna say that's the wrong mindset at all. And obviously, we've seen that in recent news with Hex and how he was treated when he initially was joining the league. So, everyone's having the same issues. Some are more vocal than not, right? So it just kind of is what it is. But the golden answer, really, copy, and you'll probably agree, and so many do, is until we go back to open bracket and bring this back to what it was as a community, there's no shot we see success. And that's it.
Yeah, plain and
You
simple.
know,
Yeah.
plain and simple.
Yeah, without going on a tangent, I sat there and watched Halo Arlington for the first time the other day on stream, and like they can make the run from the open bracket to pool play. They've got
Yep.
like 24 stations there. It's absolutely booming. And I've never sat and watched something and felt like more sick in my stomach in my life. It was just an absolute dagger to the gut, and it was like, hopefully, fingers crossed, right? There's a working structure there. For the love of God, just go copy it. But who knows?
Look at other esports. Look at other esports and their LAN events and their
Yeah.
structures and how it is that they're splitting profit shares and the attendance and how it is that the competitive integrity is there. They sell out and they have the sickest LAN events, like absolutely stunning, filled buildings. Why can't we carbon copy that somehow?
It's right there to copy, but it has been for ages, so I don't know at this stage. But exactly, who knows? But hopefully, I could go on it all day. But hopefully, we're somewhere close to it going full circle and us being back to where we love the esport and where it was before. But gentlemen, that is all I have for you. So we're on to guest time. If there's anything you want to cover that you feel like we haven't, if there's anything you want to ask me, if there's anything you want to promote, take this time to do so. If not, then we just run to an outro. So all you gentlemen.
Leave it to you, Rafi. I got nothing.
Nothing, huh?
Nope.
I think Austin touched on this. We don't give enough credit to the people around us that help us do what it is that we do every single day. That includes the coaches, the analysts, you know, basically the people that we've been around, the people that we've interacted with that work on the OMiT brand that truly believe it. Sloshy from our head of esports who lives and breathes OMiT, people that show loyalty and really believe in what it is that we're building. This wouldn't be possible without you. And it's a big shout out to also the co-owners that aren't here, Doug, Tyler, we're building something, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart that you believe in what it is that we're building. We'll take you to the promised land. I don't care how long it takes. We're not giving up. And we'll look back on this interview one day and say, damn, he was right. They built something. So that's what we're aspiring for.
No. Fantastic. It seems like a fitting way to end it, right? So, gentlemen, I must say this has been an absolute pleasure and possibly one of my favourite to date. So we're going to be dropping all of OMiT Socials in the description below. All of Rafi's, all of Austin, so please go check them out. If you're listening on Spotify, then please hit that review. If you're watching on YouTube, as ever, hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you. Well, I see you in the next one. And for now, this is these two gentlemen done. Thank you so much.